Chapter 7. Spaces between Monday morning arrived grey and uninviting, and Evelyn felt it in her bones. The city was alive, people hurrying past her, coffee cups in hand, laughter echoing somewhere else, but she felt entirely invisible, as if the world had gone on without her. At work, she forced herself through emails, meetings, and calls, but every notification made her heart race. She didn't want to call Ethan. She didn't want to hear his voice, either. And yet, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Ethan, on his side of the city, woke up to the same emptiness. The apartment felt hollow, the echoes of last Saturday still vibrating in every corner. He hadn't reached out. He couldn't. Not yet. He poured himself a cup of coffee, stared out the window, and asked the question he'd been avoiding. Did I just ruin everything? By Wednesday, the distance between them had grown noticeable. Texts were shorter, briefer, cautious. Evelyn responded mechanically to his inquiries, Ethan's messages lacking their usual warmth. They met once, by accident, at the corner coffee shop. Neither spoke at first. Standing there like strangers, the space between them charged and awkward. Evelyn finally forced a smile. "Hi." "Hi," Ethan replied, voice low. She wanted to say everything, to grab him by the shoulders and demand he admit what they both already knew, but instead, she said, "Busy week, yeah." His tone was clipped. He avoided her eyes. They ordered their drinks in silence, and then seated across from each other, they sipped coffee without really drinking. Their usual banter was gone, replaced by careful civility. Evelyn thought about Ryan's invitation later that night. She wanted to call him, to feel something lighter than the weight pressing down from Ethan. But she couldn't. She wanted something real, something permanent, and Ethan had proven, painfully, that he could unsettle everything she thought she knew. By Friday, both were restless. Ethan stared at his suitcase, the Chicago offer weighing heavier than the coffee in his hand. He hadn't replied to her last text. He couldn't. Not yet. And Evelyn, sitting at her apartment, watched the rain tap the window, thinking about the words they hadn't said, the words they had, the ones that would never come back. For the first time in years, the comfort of their friendship had become a fragile, precarious thing. Chapter 8. The edge of almost Saturday morning sunlight spilled through Evelyn's curtains, painting her apartment gold. She had planned a quiet day: laundry, grocery shopping, maybe a movie. But as always, her thoughts wandered to Ethan. She hadn't heard from him in days. No messages, no calls, nothing. The silence was suffocating. She wondered if he was already imagining himself in Chicago, already convinced that she'd be fine without him. Across town, Ethan paced his apartment. The offer still glowed on his laptop screen. Senior manager, Chicago, a dream on paper, a nightmare in reality. He wanted to call her, to pour out everything he'd been holding back for months. But fear held him frozen. One wrong word could shatter what remained of their friendship. And yet he couldn't stop thinking about her. By late morning, Evelyn decided to go for a walk along the river, hoping the movement would settle her nerves. She spotted a street cafe she and Ethan used to frequent, the place where they had spent countless Saturdays arguing about nothing and everything at once. Her heart lurched when she saw him sitting at a corner table, head bent over a notebook. He looked up, eyes locking on hers. Neither spoke immediately. It was as if the air between them crackled. "Ethan," she started, voice trembling. "Evie," he replied softly. They sat, and for the first time in days, they talked not about work, not about obligations, but about the quiet, unspoken things, the tension, the distance, the anger simmering beneath the surface. "I can't stop thinking about last week," she admitted, her hands twisting in her lap. "About us. About everything." He exhaled, leaning back. "Me neither." For a moment, the world shrank to the two of them. Evelyn noticed the way his hand brushed against hers on the table, accidentally or maybe not. Her pulse raced. I almost want to tell you something," Ethan said, voice low, strained. "Tell me." Her heart threatened to leap out of her chest. He hesitated, shadows of doubt flickering across his face. "But if I do, it changes everything." Her throat tightened. "It already has, Ethan. You just haven't said it yet." The words hung in the air, fragile, dangerous. Ethan's hand hovered closer, trembling slightly. Evelyn's breath caught. She wanted to reach for him to close the distance, but a lifetime of fear and caution froze her. A waiter passed by, breaking the moment. Ethan retracted his hand, clearing his throat. "I should go. Things I need to think." She nodded, though part of her wanted to scream, "Okay." Later, Evelyn walked home slowly, her mind replaying the moment. Every glance, every brush of a hand, every unsaid word haunted her. She couldn't tell if she was angry, desperate, or terrified. Ethan, meanwhile, stared at his notebook all afternoon, scrawling nonsense that made no sense. All he could think about was her, about the way she looked at him, about the possibility of what they could have, if only fear didn't always win first. And somewhere deep down, both of them knew the next choice either would bring them together or push them irreparably apart. Chapter 9, Crossroads. Monday evening, Evelyn sat at her desk, fingers hovering over her laptop keyboard, yet unable to focus. The day had stretched endlessly, but it wasn't the work that tired her, it was the echo of Ethan's eyes, the almost touch that lingered too long in her memory. Her phone buzzed. "Ryan, dinner tonight. I know you're busy, but I'd love to see you." Her heart twisted. Part of her craved normalcy, laughter, and distraction. But every time she imagined smiling at Ryan, she saw Ethan's expression from Saturday. That near confession, the words he almost said, the hesitation in his hands haunted her. Meanwhile, Ethan's apartment felt suffocating. He had refused to respond to her last text, but that didn't stop him from thinking of her at every quiet moment. He walked around, unable to settle, mind racing. She's slipping away. If I don't say something, I'll lose her before I even try. That evening, Evelyn met Ryan for dinner, but her laughter was forced, her smiles brittle. She tried to focus on his stories, to let herself enjoy the moment, but her mind kept drifting back to Ethan. Halfway through the meal, her phone vibrated again. "Ethan, we need to talk." Her chest tightened. She typed a quick, distracted response, "Not tonight." Ryan noticed her distraction. "Everything okay?" "Yes," she said too quickly. "Just tired, I guess." The rest of dinner passed in a blur. She tried to suppress the guilt gnawing at her, Ethan's words, his gaze, the weight of all the things they hadn't said. Later, as she walked home, rain began to fall. She tugged her coat tighter, shivering. And then she saw him, Ethan, standing across the street, umbrella in hand, looking at her like he'd been waiting for hours. "Evia," he said softly. "I told you not tonight," she whispered. "I know," he replied. His voice was gentle, but firm. "I can't wait anymore. Not like this." Her heart raced. "Ethan, I have to say it." He stepped closer. "I've been terrified. I've been stubborn. But I can't ignore it any longer. Evia, I love you." The words hit her like lightning. She felt every ounce of fear, every heartbeat, every moment of restraint collide in one overwhelming rush. Her eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, I love you too." For a heartbeat, the world froze. Rain fell around them, unnoticed. The city lights blurred through the tears in her eyes. Hands found each other, trembling, hesitant, but sure. And then a noise, a car horn, a shout, a sudden interruption snapped them back to reality. They pulled apart instinctively, laughter mingling with tears, both aware of the fragility of this moment. Neither knew what would come next. They had confessed, yes, but now the real test awaited. Could love survive all the years of fear, the misunderstandings, and the choices they had yet faced. Chapter 10. First light rain had softened to a drizzle, and the city smelled of wet asphalt and new beginnings. Evelyn and Ethan stood on the sidewalk, hands still intertwined, staring at each other like they were seeing one another for the first time in years. "I can't believe I finally said it," Ethan whispered, his thumb tracing circles on the back of her hand. "Me neither," Evelyn admitted, her voice trembling. "All that time and we were scared of words." He laughed softly, though there was still tension under it. "I was terrified of losing our friendship. I didn't think it could survive this, admitting it. But it survived," she said, leaning closer. "It did." They walked slowly, letting the wet city streets wash over them. Everything felt sharper, more vibrant. The smell of coffee from a corner cafe, the sound of leaves skittering across the sidewalk, the glow of street lamps reflecting off puddles. The world seemed both ordinary and miraculous, and they moved through it together. "I'm not going to Chicago," Ethan said suddenly, breaking the silence. Evelyn froze. "You're staying?" He nodded, serious. "I can't take the job if it means leaving you behind. Not now. Not like this." Her chest swelled with relief and joy, but also a quiet apprehension. The city lights reflected in his eyes, warm and steady, but there was still uncertainty ahead. They had confessed, yes, but life didn't pause. Work, choices, and fears still waited. That night, back at Evelyn's apartment, they sat on the couch, shoulders touching, a blanket draped over them. Words came slowly, shyly, as if testing the ground between them. "I don't know what comes next," Evelyn said finally. "Neither do I," Ethan admitted. "But I do know I don't want to spend another day pretending I don't feel this." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Then let's figure it out. Together." He kissed her temple, a gentle, grounding promise. Together. As they sat in quiet, letting the world outside fade, both felt a fragile hope growing. They had crossed the line from friends to something more, and though fear and uncertainty still lingered, it no longer ruled them. For the first time in a long time, they were free to be honest with each other, and with themselves. And while the future was unwritten, for now, it felt full of possibility.